This week's episode is sponsored by Dollhouse of Tampa Salon and Studio, where the inner doll is created. Styling services they offer are sew-ins, quick weaves, relaxers, facial waxing, eyelash extensions, and much, much more. It's time for you to find your inner doll. Contact Selena today, serving the Tampa Bay and surrounding areas of Florida. And make sure you follow them on Instagram and Facebook. Are you tired of being stung by outrageous nail prices? Well, you don't have to worry about that at Queen Bee Nail Hive. Contact Queen Bee herself, servicing the Tampa Bay area. 813-414-1405. That's 813-414-1405. Queen Bee Nail Hive. Come be pollinated. This week's episode is sponsored by Organic Sunscreen Moisturizer. Sheer Perfection Moisturizer that can only be found on perfectiondayspa.com. Contact Delia today.
This is thy kingdom come. Let the spirit of the Holy One pass over. Let your peace cover the earth. Lord, let your will be done. This is the time to take a stand, to let the world know that you can. You can face tomorrow, but today is the day that you say, I will reign.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome to another episode of Spiritually Speaking. I am Vanessa Klinger, your intuitive life strategist and life coach motivator. Welcome to another broadcast. So just a couple of things. If you would like to become a sponsor with any of my shows, Right Along with Vanessa or Spiritually Speaking, you can go out to vanessaklinger.com and complete the form, and I'll contact you. We have awesome advertising packages and slots that are that align with that's economical for you. So go out to vanessaklinger.com. It's live, guys. It's live. Go out to vanessaklinger.com and check it out, and we'll get back to you to see how we can promote your wonderful product, service, or event. Yeah. Also, you can go out to this month. We're actually offering a 2-for-1 offer on my coaching session. So if you want to, take advantage of my coaching services and what I have to offer, go out to vanessaklinger.com and click the button right there on the homepage, and it'll take you, and you can make an appointment. And we'll get you started. It's the end of the year. It's been an interesting year, to say the least. And I know some of you have questions, and some of you are seeking direction and just want a little insight. Well, I'm your girl. I can help you out. So go out to vanessaklinger.com and we'll take care of that. So let's see what else. Oh, also, I actually am offering, I offer and provide free books every month. All you have to do is go out to vanessaklinger.com and register for the free book offer and complete your contact details on where you'd like your free book to be sent to you. And I will send out your books for you. And at the next break, I'll have my books here ready for you to show you. So we're going to take a quick break, and we are going to bring in the great Michelle Massey Washington. We are covering the book of Genesis, and I'm telling you, the last few weeks, we just hit the ground running. Michelle has come in full force and been providing all this great insight and we have really taken a deep dive into God. So I encourage you to stick around for the great Michelle Massey Washington as we are taking a walk through Genesis. And tonight, she gave me just a little tidbit. She says, we're going to be talking about Adam and Eve. So I'm looking forward to that, because I know that we're getting ready. Oh, let me just let you know right now, go ahead and get your scuba gear and put that on, because we're getting ready to take a deep dive into God, a whole different perspective. This isn't your typical Bible study, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to help enlighten you. It's going to help encourage you, and it's going to help to expand your consciousness. So if you're not ready to wake up and you just want to be asleep, and you just want to, stay, that's fine. That's you. I mean, that's your business. Okay. But if you are looking to expand your consciousness, or looking to become more aware of God, because He's endless, right? So stick around. Okay. And after this break, we're going to bring in the great Michelle Massey Washington. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Isogenex samples from Vanessa Zabriskie. And I'm definitely going to look out for me to have this on Friday's ride along, because I'm definitely going to need that little oomph that I need. And the beef collagen bone broth, I'm going to try in dinner this week. And also, I'm looking forward to trying this as well. So when I go for my walks tomorrow and put it in my shake. So look out for these on Friday, right along with Vanessa. Thank you, Vanessa.
Okay, we are back. We are back. So now we're going to get started. So let's bring her in. Let me just get this set up here. You know what? I didn't really share to you guys exactly just how amazing Michelle is. Okay, so I'm going to just give you a little rundown as to just what she specializes in. Okay, she specializes in family therapy, parenting difficulties, couples therapy, depression, addiction, stress and trauma, anger management, anxiety, children therapy, teen therapy, and of course, life coaching and individual counseling. Guys, I'm telling you, I feel very fortunate just to be in her presence. I feel very fortunate to how our paths have crossed, and we've connected. I feel very honored, and to that she accepted to bring her expertise in spiritual subject matter. So let's just bring her in, shall we? Michelle Massey Washington. Hello, my love. Hello. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you tonight?
Namaste, my love. I'm great. I'm excited about tonight. So much so that I'm trying to keep up with everything that I need to bring up here. So let me just put your contact, your name and stuff up here. I'm trying to find it. This is live TV, so I'm the producer, I'm the director, I'm the editor, I'm all these things, and I'm okay with that. So how are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm excited.
Yeah.
This is just an awesome time. I mean, it's just an awesome time to be enlightened, to be conscious of who you are, where you're going, how you're getting there, and being able to have authority over all of those avenues. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yep. So we have connected with the social media world. So hello, social media world. Hello. Come right in, take a seat. We're getting ready to take a deep dive into God with the great Michelle Massey Washington. So yeah, my love. So we are covering Genesis. Now, last week we talked about the tree of life.
We did,
and you enlightened us on actually what that represents from your spiritual perspective.
We've actually viewed the tree of life as a physical, actual tree, but the actual tree of life is us and all of our chakra energy that goes into our life, and how God has created us to be purposed and destined, and that the fruit that we give off is the consciousness of our life, and how we have set it up to go forth through our life, instead of it being conditioned, that we take an opportunity to create our life. We've always thought someone else had the power over our lives. But as you look at the tree of life, it reveals to you that God has given you that power. He's given you dominion. over your own land. And so we've released our dominion so much that when it's time to take it and utilize it, that we're afraid of it or we're not aware of it.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think that?
Well, it's from conditioning, from religious thoughts, from the way we came up in our environment, our level of consciousness, our level of awareness. It's a multiplicity of things that could be listed as the reason why we are not focused, we are not asserted to the very thing that we are created to be. And another reason for that is because we refuse to study to show ourselves approved. We would like to take the word of someone else. It's easier to just listen to someone else and duplicate that. So instead of creating it, we have gotten lazy and just started, and lazy and conditioned, and just started to duplicate.
You know, to be honest, I never have. I've always questioned stuff. I think that's probably because, I'm an old soul, but I just always question things, and then, growing up and we were watching, these, you remember that Jim Jones episode, that movie they made about him, how he hooked with them people and had them drinking Kool-Aid? That was like the first thing where we got an insight into how people take their power and it's distorted by their ego and their level of awareness and stuff, and how people are just so easily persuaded because they're trusting. And in their defense, because we're trusting souls. I like to see the good in everyone, but that show really set me on a journey of questioning everything. I would always, let's say, ask God, what is this? What does that mean? I would always ask question. I wouldn't like take someone's word for it and all that. I'd be like, I'd be checking my little spirit. I'd be like, nah, I gotta go. No. And, it got me in trouble sometimes because, growing up in the South, you don't do what I do. You do what I tell you to do. Right. we grew up hearing that. And I was like, oh, no, but I get it, but I really think, and I really would like to believe that we are in a day and age now where people are questioning and not just believing everything, that they actually, conducting the due diligence and research. And I really hope that, majority of people are doing that today. But, nonetheless, I digress, and I'm sorry, because this is your time. But we are going to be talking about, you said we're going to speak to Adam and Eve. So did you want to just, kind of give a little backstory, whatever, however you want to do it? The floor is yours, my love. Take it away, Michelle.
Well, actually, we read the two spaces in Genesis, and that's Genesis 1:37, and where God created.
Again? Sorry? What was that again?
Genesis 1:37.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. And we're looking at Genesis 2:7. In Genesis 1:37, God created. And then it says in Genesis 2:7, God formed. So there are two places and spaces where Adam and Eve. Can you hear me? I can hear some feedback. Let me see if I can put my.
I can hear you. You're good.
Okay. Sounds like feedback. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. So we were talking about, Genesis 1:37 talks about where God created man in his own image. And so that's the place where we consider the spirit being created in order for us to be in the image of God, we have to be in the spirit. A lot of us look at it as a physical image, but we have to be in the spirit in order to be in his image, in his imagination. So there are two parts. And one thing I want to do with you, Vanessa, is I want to try a test. And we're going to compare how we see a thing based on what we've been taught.
Okay.
And then again, how we see a thing based on our level of consciousness. Now, what I want you to do is close your eyes. I am going to say, paint a description, and then you tell me what you see it as a picture.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden near the tree of life.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me what you physically see as a picture.
I see a man and a woman. This is based on what I've seen, and a tree, a beautiful blossoming tree, filled with light. That's what I see, and they're standing in front of it. That's what I envisioned.
And what are they dressed in?
They naked.
Okay.
They were naked. Mm-hmm.
So the reason that's what you saw as a picture or as a visualization is because that's what you've been conditioned to see when you talk about Adam and Eve.
Right.
Now, when you get to a level of consciousness, this is we're going to have to see Adam and Eve as archetypes.
Okay.
An archetype is an original that has been imitated. So the visualization that you saw was an imitation of what the original archetype of Adam and Eve was, based on what you've been conditioned to see or what you've been taught to see. And so what we have to do is come out of his story and come into our story and our consciousness and our revelation based on how we view Adam and Eve. And so what I see Adam and Eve as, now this is what my level of consciousness is presently. Since the Bible is a collection of thoughts and levels of consciousness, Adam is the left side of the brain. Eve is the right side of the brain. The nakedness that is revealed is they're in their original sense. That means there's nothing covering, nothing intercepting. They're in their original form, the left brain and the right brain. Now, the left brain is responsible for logic, mathematics, and science. The right brain is responsible for creativity, visualization, and intuitiveness. Now, when we talk about marriage, we're talking about the left side of the brain, because remember, we're dealing with thoughts. We're talking about the left side of the brain coming together with the right side of the brain, and they become one. So when Adam and Eve, when we're talking about Adam and Eve, and we're talking about the Garden of Eden, we're talking about all of our thoughts, all of our positive thoughts, all of our interjection with God, everything that's in its original sense that is not blocked by anything. Because when God said to them, who told you you were naked? They had no sense of nakedness. They had no sense of clothing because they were in their original form. So when we're looking at the left brain and the right brain, Adam and Eve coming together, making one for the marriage. It says you have to leave your mother and father. Now, your mother and father are your influence as far as how you think. You have to come to a place of maturity and begin to think on your own. Like you saw the vision of a man and a woman naked. That's what we were taught. So now we're going into a transmutation. Now, let me explain what a transmutation is. It's the state of being changed to another form.
Wait a minute. Say that again, girl. Transmutation.
It's the state of being changed to another form. So the only way we can transmutate to another form is our level of consciousness and how we speak and how we hear and how we see. And we take all of the physical senses and make them spiritual senses. So the whole story of Adam and Eve had really nothing to do about a man and a woman. It had something to do about God putting together your level of thinking and how you're going to process your journey that you're about to walk in this Garden of Eden, where all the thoughts are provided for you that are positive and giving you your creativity. It's the transmutation. Trans means across, through, and beyond.
Now, wait a minute. Now, you're trying to tell me, so are you saying that Adam and Eve weren't real people?
Now this is your level of consciousness.
Wait a minute now, ladies and gentlemen. Now listen. I told you that this was not your typical Bible study. Didn't I tell you that? Okay. So don't be calling Michelle in the middle of the night, cussing her out, calling her some type of devil or demon. And that I told you this was not your typical Bible study. This is where you're going to expand your consciousness and look at the Word of God differently so that you can make it applicable to your right now. Go ahead on, girl. I got you.
So what we did was make Adam and Eve a paradigm. Now, a paradigm is a typical example or pattern of something. So whoever, it's a paradigm is a typical example or pattern of something.
Okay.
And so what we did was, based on our level of consciousness and how we've been conditioned to think, by the age of 35, 95% of our thinking has been conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the very first time you say Adam and Eve, you see a man and a woman. The very first thing. Nobody sees a left brain and a right brain.
I can still hear Charlton Heston's voice in my head from when I was a little girl watching The Greatest Story Ever Told. And there's Adam and Eve, white people, walking in the garden naked, her hair strolled all the way down, and they walking in this beautiful garden. I was like 8 years old, 7, 8.
Right. So we've been conditioning with that forever. And it stops your level of consciousness and causes you to be unconscious. And so you begin to walk around as a robot because you're unconscious, and you're a dead man walking or a dead woman walking based on history instead of being creative to hear what the Spirit is saying to you about this word that has been presented.
Right. Therefore, becoming your own walking epistle.
Yes. Without any duplication. You're using, it'll be the same spirit, but it'll be different ways that it's expressed. And so what we got into is pointing out, you're not right and you're not right. And that's not how it goes. And that's not how it's said. And this is, I'm telling the truth. And this is, I'm telling the truth. And then we got all of these different denominations. But the very thing is, we serve God with our mind. And we're in his image in the spirit. You cannot see the spirit. You cannot see thought. You cannot see the left brain and the right brain. And so we've been operating in a duplicated way that man created based on his level of consciousness.
Girl, this is amazing. This is amazing. You know, we turned the corner. We actually turned the light on for some people. There are some people that are watching us that are saying, yes, 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 yes. Finally, I'm not crazy. Yes, 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 yes. This is exactly what my intuition, my spirit has been telling me. Yes, 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 yes. Everybody else thought I was crazy, but finally, this is great. This is great. I mean, I just want to glorify. I do, because go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
And so even in our consciousness, as we've been told to visualize, we've been told to visualize even incorrectly. And the reason I say that is because the word became flesh and not the flesh became the word. And so in our visualization and our vision boards, we've been putting up pictures of what we thought we should put up or what we're trying to get instead of doing it the other way around. So if the word,
how we do that, girl? Come on now.
Okay. So first of all, a visualization is a descriptive mental image. Visualization is a descriptive mental image. Now, if we're going to visualize and it's mental, it has nothing to do with what's already created.
Right. So when I put up my vision board and I got images of something that I would like to do, be, and have, that's just an image. But my thought, my image of it, my mental image of it, spiritual mental image of it, it's not exactly that. So this is
right, because it hasn't got there yet. It hasn't got there yet.
But when I see something that resonates with my spirit, it may not be. So this is what I've learned, and how I stopped becoming disappointed and dissuaded by things, because I'm thinking I'm gonna get that right. Mm-hmm. But mm-hmm. No, it's an image, but it resonates with my spirit. It may not be exactly something that's akin to that.
What I'm actually saying is, we're doing a visualization is spiritual. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's a mental image. Mm-hmm. If you're putting a picture on a board, that's a physical image. Mm-hmm. And so mm-hmm. we're kind of putting the cart before the horse. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people are disappointed because what they have on that board has not come to pass. Mm-hmm. Because they have not followed the proper way, the way God has set it up. He said, okay, so words, let's go back to words. We talked about a couple of weeks ago that in school we learn spelling. So spelling is casting a spell, whether negative or positive. You always mm-hmm. put it on witches, but mm-hmm. every time you talk, you present an image of power, of life and death. So mm-hmm. it can go either way. So it really mm-hmm. has anything to do basically with witchcraft. It just mm-hmm. has to do with power. So mm-hmm. you have power for the negative, or you have power for the positive. There's mm-hmm. only one power. Right. I know we say there are multiple powers. There's only one true power. Now, there are frequencies of how you get to that, but there's only one power. There's not a devil power. There's not a God power. There's only one power. Now, your level of consciousness will determine the frequency that you get to your highest version of who you truly are. Remember, I said the devil is a mental disorder. And so when we focus on communication, it's more than words. It is the language that we speak. Right. Now, God does not talk. He is a spirit that moves in motion. I know I heard God say, and that's the only way we can express it, because that's how we know it. But he's right. actually not talking. He is a movement. He is an energy. He is a volume of power. He is the anointing. And that takes nothing away from him. That actually adds to him greater mm-hmm. than we've ever seen it before. Mm-hmm. So the word is an oracle. It's a provision. It's a language. It's a commandment. It is a godly business matter. So where we're taking spelling, like you can have 3 different words that mean the same thing, but they have the same sound, but they have different meaning. So even when people are using the N word, and I hate to say that word, but in one tone you can hear it as gratifying to your people, and in another time you can hear it as insulting. So that's depending on what spell is on it, what level of frequency is on it.
Wait a minute. Slow down, Dr. Washington. Are you telling me that it's more than just the word? It's the inflection.
Yes. That's what I'm telling you.
Behind the word.
It's the frequency, the power. Yes.
The energetic flow that's coming from that word.
Yes.
So it's all based on the frequency or the level of intention behind that word. So when I speak a word, if I'm coming from a space of love, then that should be how it's received.
Yes.
So why is it there's other people misinterpret what they're hearing?
Okay, so there's two. Again, it's the if you're really truly coming from a space of love, that's your frequency, and that's the power that you're getting. Now, what we must agree on, that two have to touch and agree to get the fullness of the power that is being generated from you. Now, just because you're generating the highest form, the highest frequency, the other person may not. That's why when you pray for people, if they're not believing that they're going to be healed and you're believing that they're going to be healed, you cannot overcome their will. You're at two different levels of frequency. You're not coming together to connect, to be joined. Right. So you have to be in agreement with the frequency that's coming from and that's coming to. And so when we're doing visualizations, there may be a different frequency on that picture that you put on the board that is not coming in agreement with what you're actually mentally seeing in your mental space. And therefore, there is an interruption, there's an interception, and therefore the visualization falls to the ground because the level of frequencies are not coming together to shock you, to shock the situation, to bring it together so that it manifests in your present being.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. I agree with that. But let me tell you something. Okay, so if that's the case, my situation. Okay, so I'm visualizing. I'm using my affirmations about this and that. What's something I'm affirming and visualizing, right? And I mean, I got serious. I was having my earplugs in. I was doing the guided meditations, 2 or 3 hours a day. This is when I was in spiritual lockdown. Guided meditation. I was going out to the beach every day. I was conducting my clothes. I was getting ready. I was getting in line. And it took me to be shifted from the space where I was literally to get me into a place where I could be shocked to get on that level of that level of what I was visualizing, right?
Correct.
To begin to attract what I was visualizing. Now, a lot of people misinterpret that from their lives being turned upside down, from things happening, from people leaving their lives, from them getting fired from their job, for people walking out on them, for them losing everything. But let me explain something to you guys. All of God's promises are yes and amen. So when you ask God for something, he says, yes, I agree. But here's the thing. If it requires moving a mountain to get you from one space to another, to get you at that level to receive what you've been visualizing, he's going to bring in a bulldozer. He may have to bring in a hurricane. He may have to bring in a forest fire. Whatever it's going to take to get you shifted to that space so that you can get at that level of frequency to come into agreement with what you've been visualizing. Now, I'm just speaking from my experience on how that happened to me. So, I mean, I'm trying to also help people understand, for them to make sense of their situation and circumstances. What have you been asking God for? When you asking God, you are visualizing. Oh, I'm so happy and grateful. Oh, I got $1 million. Well, do you know what it takes to have $1 million? He said, consider the cost.
So what I was telling you, like at the beginning, as I gave you the words to picture it, now that I've given another indication, then that may be a shift. So that's what happens to us as we begin to shift our paradigm, as we begin to shift our archetypes, as we begin to go in a place that we've never gone before, as we begin to go in the unknown space. The reason we're afraid to go in the unknown is because we don't know it. And we like to be familiar with how we handle things, because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't take a whole lot of work for you to be so familiar with something. Just like driving, you can almost do that. You do it every day without thinking. Now, put yourself in London where they're driving on the left side of the street, or the steering wheel is on the other side, the right side,
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
we on the left side. Then we begin to shift and we begin to say, wait a minute, this is not what's normal to me, so I can't do this. The first thing that we would say is, I can't do this. Your mindset, your Christ-mindedness, remember that we're using the Lord's name in vain when we say things that we can't do, that he's already established that we're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Say that again, Dr. Washington.
We use the Lord's name in vain when we say we can't do what he's already empowered us to do, and set the Garden of Eden, the thoughts, everything. The law and the Lord are the same things. The law and the Lord of God are the same things. He's already set them. And we are going into our little measly thinking of what we've been conditioned to do. And that's why we see Adam and Eve just as a man and a woman naked in a place full of trees, instead of seeing our logical thinking and our creativity thinking coming together to make the wholeness of what God has said. We're working in his image and we're working out of his imagination. So what about that stops you from doing, and having, Reverend Knight?
I know that's right.
Anything. You are not without anything unless you say you're without that. When you say I'm broke, you put a vision in your head that sees your wallet as no money, sees your bank account as nothing in it, and you're waiting for your next check. So that places you being in vain, using the Lord's name in vain. You're saying he's a provider, but then you're saying I'm broke. You're saying he's a healer.
Hold that thought. Ladies and gentlemen, she is flowing tonight. We're going to take a little break and pay some
Just a
bills.
little.
Just a little. We're going to be back in 15 seconds because I'm sitting on the edge of my seat about this. And I just want her to keep going deeper and to help enlighten you guys on this. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's difficult to identify trauma when holding it down is a way of life. Join over 30 speakers as we share our stories and tools to triumph. The No More Trauma Summit is an online free experience. Register today.
That's right, guys. So that is a summit that August Crenshaw, who's going to be on the show later, actually later this month and in the first week of December, to speak to us about that, about dealing with trauma. But let's get back to this. Okay, so you telling me that we are using the Lord's name in vain when we go against what he's already established for us. So every time we say something, okay, so being that Satan, the devil, is considered, in my opinion, an opposing thought form. Mm-hmm. So when we say I can't or I don't, and it goes totally against, could that be, and people, I don't know, you guys may start tripping, but could that be the Satan part of us, the lower vibration, opposing thought, mental disorder that's going against the truth, which is a desire?
Yes. Mm-hmm. If you say I can't, then you go against the word that says we can do all things. Mm-hmm. And so we've been trained that way. Everything has been reversed. It's an illusion. Everything is illusion. We've been taught in the illusionary way to make us get that we forgot who we were and what we operate in. This is the opportune time, the way the whole world is right now, for you to begin to operate in your highest version of your consciousness. I don't care who is president. And I'm not saying I'm not concerned about the issues, but I'm operating on a different dimension of how this thing is supposed to go. Mm-hmm. And so we We're too busy seeing with our eyes and not looking with our eye. We're
Yes.
too busy on the outside when everything that God created is on the inside. So when in Genesis 1 and 37, when he said he created mankind in his own image, that means that spirit was being created for us to operate in this journey. He created that first before he even went to Genesis, the 2nd chapter, and began to go Adam, meaning red ground, which is the chakra red color that is rooting and grounding you. You're so crazy. Rooting and grounding you. And then Eve is your source of life, which is living in full energy. Now, when you get the grounding and the energy to come together, the humanity and the divinity to come together and they get balanced, then their chakras begin to operate and the energy level and the form in the imagination of God. And that's why at that point you can say, I find it not robbery to be equal with God. Why? Because I'm operating on the same frequency. I'm operating in the same energy. I'm operating in everything inside of me, and nothing by any means shall come against me.
And that's what Jesus was trying to show us. But we were so caught up in all the other stuff that we missed it. He was trying to show, look, he was like, look, fool, I'm going to come in human form. I and my Father are one. All he was saying was everything that God was trying to tell us from the Genesis story. I and my Father are one. The devil is a lie. That means it's not true. That means anything that's
not true. It's not true. So why are we giving it so much life? We are creators. And as we begin to take that oracle, which is that prophetic transmitted word, and we begin to, I keep saying it, this is your Christ mindedness. This is your prophet. That's on the government, that's on your shoulders, that's governing your mental and how you are to operate on this journey. You are on a trip. You are in a movie. This is your story. You're writing the Now Testament. All of this stuff is new. This is a new heaven and a new earth. If one more person tell me, I'll be glad when things get back to normal, I just want to shake them, because you don't want it to go back to what they've established as your normal. You want to be operating in your spirit realm, in your conscious, actually in your super conscious. When you paint that S on your chest and you go even a little higher.
Yep. But see, here's the thing. See, the thing is that I'm gonna say it. The thing is that we are in the days of revelation. Why? Because that's all we heard about and talked about and all this stuff. We misinterpreted on how it's going to manifest, but we are in the days of revelation. So get ready for this and that and whatnot to come out, but it's not going to be the way you think it is, right? Because it said the deceiver. It's a deceiver, right? So someone who's a deceiver is someone that you be thinking, okay, it's like you get, it's like you get a nice loaf and it looks like a cake. And you be like, okay, beef Wellington, right? So the first time, I'm country. So the first time I had beef Wellington, right? I'm looking at it, I'm like, that looked like a pie. You know, I'm from the South. Everything in a crust and dough. And I mean, it looked real nice and everything. I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking beef Wellington. I'm thinking it's gonna be something sweet from London, right? You know, London. And I'm looking into it. I'm like, that's steak. I'm thinking it was gonna be some type of sweet concoction, you know. And I'm thinking it was they called it beef Wellington because that was somebody's fancy name or something. So what I'm saying is a deceiver is something that you think is something else, but it's actually something different. It's actually complete opposite. So we are in the day of revelation. That's why I keep telling people, it's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is, ladies and gentlemen.
But you must be tuned in. You got to be joined. You got to be joined into this thing because it is unfolding right before your eyes. It is unfolding and you're missing it because you're still looking at the outside and what's happening. And when the inside rolls by, you miss it because you're distracted by this over there and this over there. But when you stay focused and pay total attention to what God is saying, and when I say saying, I mean how he's moving, how the energy is moving, what's transpiring, what's going forth. It is not what you think it is. It is what God had created it to be. And when we're talking about the last days, my grandmama was saying the last days, and her grandmama was saying the last days.
Yep.
And I kept saying, okay, now when these last days coming? Because I've been hearing that for some generations. But this, it just passed. And some of us missed it. Some of us missed it.
But it's not too late. This ain't
No.
no altar call. It's just not too late for you to finally say, you know what, I do want to see. This was the whole purpose of us being isolated. See, because when I went through my spiritual isolation, spiritual quarantine last summer, fall, everything everybody going through now, I already went through that spiritually. And I was like, okay, but the thing is that the quarantine was to get you isolated so you could go within and wake up.
Right.
But some people went to sleep, literally. Went back to sleep.
And
you know, when you eat something that, you know, I'm admitted. This ain't no confessional, but I'm just gonna say it. I've been eating a lot of stuff I didn't have no business the last couple months. And I've noticed a feeling, my energy level is low. I'm just like lethargic. I'm like, oh my goodness, I am totally just, you know, everybody's been consuming the wrong things and feeding into this and wondering why their world is becoming the way it's because of what you've been consuming. He said, do not partake of the fruit. That's not an apple. That's what you are spiritually consuming through your eyes, your ears, and then also what you are regurgitating and sharing with other people that they consume.
it's God has continually to say to me, or has moved in my spirit to know that that's what he's conveying to me or communicating to me, that we must first learn how to receive. And because we don't know how to receive, and we're so apt to give our time and give this and give that and give that, we have not taken time. The isolation was to receive. I have given you a gift, so I'm going to give you a gift. If you give me a gift and I say, I don't want that, then you're not going to get what's inside of it. Now, I don't know what's inside of the gift that you gave me. But until I open up my present, you're not going to receive the present gifts that God is giving out to all of those who will receive. It's like the food banks where they're having you drive through. All you have to do is drive through and receive. Now you can't say what you want in it. You can't say, I want some chicken and I want some greens and I want some that. Receive what is being given to you, because it is a gift for your present now. And stop the resistance. This is what we are. We're so on guard that somebody's going to get in that seat that's not going to do like we want to train them to do. We're not so concerned that they do things God's way. We're concerned about that they do it the way we want them to do it. Now, if they're not going to do that, then I don't want that person. And so we got to learn how to discern. You know, discern. This is not a time to celebrate right now, because it ain't over.
It ain't over. And let me tell you something. If we, for all you Bible thumpers, remember how Jesus was portrayed, how he was born? Everybody was in the hotel over there, and they didn't have no room for this little girl and her husband, and they on a donkey. She had to give birth. What was it, in a barn with the animals? The
It'll
the
make it.
the king of the world, the savior of the world, was born in a barn. It was not delivered the way everybody had imagined that it was going to be delivered.
And the only way that they knew the king was there, they had to follow the light.
The stars,
They had
they
to
were
follow the
following
light.
the.
And they had to get instructions to follow the light.
That's
Because
right.
there are many lights, but they needed to know that the light from that particular star and the location was given. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're not listening on your GPS, God's power system,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to miss the direction and you're not going to hear you have arrived.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to hear that because
Exactly.
you'll be distracted and you'll be talking and you won't be listening. So the
Mm-hmm.
isolation was a time, which is the same isolation that God gave for Adam and Eve, which is the left brain and the right brain, so that
Mm-hmm.
he could give instructions. He isolated. There was nobody else that they were supposed to be listening to. There is nobody else that you're supposed to be listening to. And then the moment that you get distracted, it's the moment that the most vital instructions are given out. Like you don't have all your oil in your lamp.
Mm-hmm.
Now you want to borrow some oil from me because now you need some oil that you should have been getting for yourself and preparing yourself for the coming. The bridegroom is coming. And you still sleep in the dark.
They think it's going to be
Come on.
exactly the way it was written in the Bible. It ain't. I'm telling y'all right now. It's not. It's not literal. I'm telling you, it's not literal. Okay, so one of the viewers, Patricia Duncan, she wrote, "How are using that I am in a negative way, speaking I am at the Most High?"
I'm sorry?
She said, "How are using that I am in a negative way, speaking I am at the Most High?" I think she wants to say, how is it directed when you are speaking I am in a negative way towards God? In a sense, where you're using I am, saying I am, you know,
And put not behind it.
yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we need to explain that I am is that's the name of God. Because
Mm-hmm.
when Moses said, "Who shall I say sent me?" He didn't say, "Tell him God sent me." He said, "Tell him I am."
Mm-hmm.
So I am is the greatest two words in the universe because anything that you put behind I am, it's like it's a check that's always cashed. So if you put, because remember God says yes and amen. So if you say I
Mm-hmm.
am not good enough, God's going to say yes and amen. So you have to be very selective in your prophetic transmission of what you're placing behind the words of I am, because whatever's coming behind that is going to manifest in your present now. So I don't know if that answers her question.
Right. And it's also based on the frequency that's behind it too.
Yes.
You know,
And
so
that's what
so
we can't
yeah.
just say affirmation. We can't just say affirmation. Oh, I am rich. I am glorious. No, there's got to be a frequency behind that. And there's got to be a feeling, not emotional. But you have got to visualize that the very thing that you're saying I am behind or your affirmation is where you actually are. It's not
Mm-hmm.
where you're going to. Your
Mm-hmm.
visualization has got to be where you actually are in your spirit. Now, remember, you'll always arrive in your spirit before you arrive in the manifestation of that thing that's in your spirit. So that's why we are creators, because we go in so we never have to be without.
Right.
But if you're
Right.
going out before you go in, you'll always be without.
Be like building a house on sand. That really is what it's like. And you saying that, you have to vibrationally get there. That's why I tell people when I'm on Ride Along, I'm like, look, when you in your space of joy, because see, music gives me joy, it gives me that happy space, and I get in there, next thing you know, I be listening to a song, I be like, I'm a millionaire. I get on that wave, right?
Right.
But I
Right.
wait until I'm in that vibration, that frequency. because then then your right and your left brain get to
come
consummate,
together. Right. And
and
the
get to
seed,
create.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And then,
that's the
so
real,
I'm
that's the realness. Yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
I'm dancing around the house. I ain't got no money. I'm a million, just dance, and I felt like that, right? I
Yeah.
felt. So that's so important what she's trying to share with you guys, that Adam and Eve were not people. What you talking about? Ain't no people. They talking about them in the no. I'm trying to tell y'all, everything in the Bible is not literal. It's not. When you do that, you can be free today. You can be free today, and then I'm telling you, you'll start to see the scriptures, and it becomes real to you, and you're able to apply it to yourself right now. And that's what
So
makes
let me help them while we're getting ready to close it down.
Yep.
If you're looking at Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they all saw the same thing, but they wrote about it differently. So that the level in which their frequency was, or their level of consciousness, is how they related in their writing. Yes, it can be inspired by God, but what I'm telling you, that's their story on their level of understanding, on their level of consciousness. So what you have to do, that's why the Bible is giving you revelations at the end, because they're saying in order for you to write the Now Testament, you're going to have revelations on all these stories, all these levels of consciousness, and you're going to have to create your own story. It's your own story. Rewrite it.
Girl, ain't you glad we ain't living in the olden times where they would declare us witches?
Look, they probably changed the letter from a W to a B.
Girl, I'm so grateful.
I'm so beyond. They probably changed the W to a B, but I'm so beyond. I'm so beyond what people think of me when I know who I am, and I've
Yes.
located myself.
Yes.
And I always tell my kids, just because they say it, don't mean it's true. So I don't react to it. I respond by doing what I do. It takes too much energy for me to address everything that somebody thinks about me. Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. It's not a.
It's a mind thing. We serve God with our mind.
Yes,
with our mind.
Yes, we do. Yes, we
do. I'm so glad I found that out.
This was a lifetime where we agreed it was going to happen. It is. I really believe that. And it's so refreshing. And because our intention is just to enlighten people, just to enlighten you.
And give them tools. Just give you tools. You don't have to believe what I say. Just go in and begin to hear what God is saying to you. Just start out with what I'm telling you. And it's going to lead you somewhere just totally beyond that.
Yeah.
Same spirit. It'll be the same spirit. Just another application.
It's so personal because everyone's journey is different. Everyone's journey is different. Your journey towards see, people think destiny about material stuff and all that. No, your destination is your level of awareness to that you agreed to before the foundation of the world to allow. I'm telling you, when you get that right, you get on that road. That's why he said, "Seek ye first the kingdom," God's way of doing things.
God's way of thinking, God's way of imagination, God's way of creating, all of that.
And all these things shall be added unto you. Because he told them, be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah.
That's all multiplication is. Multiplication ain't nothing but adding stuff on top of stuff. That's how you multiply.
Me, girl. My acronym. Me, mental equation. Me, mental equation. Let's get it.
Let's get it, girl. Let's get it. Oh my goodness. We have just touched a little bit of Genesis. Just a little bit. We ain't even Cain and Abel on them jokers. Girl! Whew. My love, thank you so much for another episode. Namaste. I bow to my presence.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
until we start doing that, until we start bowing to the divine presence in everybody, instead of always criticizing, we're never going to bring the full foundation of love in.
Nope.
Not going to.
Because we're not honoring the divinity within each and every one of us.
Yes, the divine mind.
And divine. Girl, let me go. They're going to shut me off. It's 8:01. My love, thank you so much for sharing with us another great feast of spiritual subject matter. It was just amazing. Thank you so much, my love. Ladies and gentlemen, woo, you guys saw Michelle's contact information at the bottom. If you want to reach out to her and contribute to the cause. I mean, just such a wonderful gift. Thank you so much. And I will see you next Sunday right here.
Right here.
Yeah, yeah. So until next week, my love, take care. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Guys, wasn't that amazing? I'm telling you that, So thank you guys so much for watching. Join me Friday on the Ride Along with Vanessa morning show right here on the KP Media TV network, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then next Sunday, join Michelle Massey Washington and I for another episode of Spiritually Speaking. Woo. If you guys want to come back and watch this, you can catch us on the video on demand. I think it takes about 2 or 3 days before it loads up, but you can go out to the Empowerment and Leadership channel, but also on the KP Media channel where you can catch the video on demand. Just look for my picture and you'll see my channel there of all the episodes of Ride Along and Spiritually Speaking. So until next week, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Social media, thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for catching on the replay. Go back and watch it over and over again. It is truly going to feed and nourish your soul. So until next week, guys, stay in love. Thank you. Thank you for enjoying the show. If you have an awesome product or service that you would like Vanessa to promote, go to www.vanessaklinger.com/show sponsor and we'll get back to you. We have monthly sponsorship programs, ad slots, all kinds of wonderful great things to promote your product or service. Contact Vanessa today